to pros and everything in between. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio. With the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Young.
Welcome into Reaction Monday on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Glad to be with you here on what has been a rough day for some of us. And I've only been out of the house for like an hour. Hop out of the car and jumped into a river on accident.
Hate when that happens.
Well, you know, if I want to call Chaz, he may have to make another Facebook post after this one. Just
his feet ain't wet.
No, the Columbia River that we did not know we had is now running along West 7th and then down whatever street this. What street is this? JP knows.
I don't know what
street is this? Garden?
No.
Walker.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Walker?
Mm-hmm.
It runs along the curve
Today
there.
it's called Water.
Yeah, it's not Walker. It is the Water Street. It's basically like I live in, what's the place where they have are canals?
Venice.
Yes, Venice. My head's not in it today. But yes, I should have just rode my boat down Walker Street today.
You and PJ, huh?
Oh, man. Brutal. Me and PJ Fleck just rowing boats.
Yep.
Oh, Mo, how was your weekend?
Drier than your afternoon. Well, except for Saturday morning when I got one of my two games in.
One of them?
Yeah.
The early one or the later one?
I know, the early one.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
They couldn't get that one rained out.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah, after being up
Until like 4?
30.
4:30. Jeez. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Tough go of it.
Comes with.
Yeah. It certainly does. Oh, man. What a weekend of high school sports, college football, pro football. Probably, I'll tell you, we have had some entertaining football games in the last couple of weeks, especially at the pro level. Last night was one of the most entertaining football games I've ever seen. And we'll talk about it in this show. We'll talk about college football. We'll get all of our reactions to SEC, big-time college programs across the country struggling. We'll get to that. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Titans because, well, can't not talk about them. And high school football, of course, is the crux of this show. So all of that coming your way, and we'll get to our top stories here in just a moment. But Mo, before we do any of that, we need to give you the results from the weekend and, of course, today's schedule on the Rundown.
This is the Rundown. The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy, providing a Christ-centered college prep education at an affordable cost. Call 931-388-5731 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule an appointment for a tour today.
In high school football action over the weekend, Zion Christian with their first victory as an 8-man football program, defeating Lighthouse Christian of Antioch 42-20. It was Forest 33, Summertown 7. Pearl Cone defeated Lawrence County at Hunters Lane 48-0. It was Cascade 21, Richland 14, and Columbia Central defeated Nolensville 30-7.
Page was a 32-15 winner over Franklin County. Spring Hill fell in double overtime to Lincoln County 21-20. Independence down Franklin 38-7. And Summit blanked Centennial, continuing their every game has a zero streak this season, 36-0. And DCA was a 52-14 winner over Columbia Academy.
In volleyball action over the weekend, Hampshire defeated Zion Christian 3-0. On Saturday, Loretto won 7 matches at the Brooks Invitational. Defeated Muscle Shoals 2-0. Hatton 2-0, Mars Hill 2-0, Russellville 2-0, Huntsville 2-1, Danville 2-1, and in the championship match, blanked Addison 2-0.
Let me tell you, Hatton and Addison are really good programs, perennial state finalists. So those are two big wins, especially to hold them to 0, to not lose a game against them. So impressive, Loretto. In volleyball action today at 5:30, Mount Pleasant's over at Santa Fe. Columbia Central is at East Hickman at 6 o'clock. Also at 6, Spring Hill's at Zion Christian, and Summertown's at Lawrence County. At 6:30, Culleoka hosts Hampshire, and Independence is at Stewart's Creek at some point today.
In postseason golf action today, Richland played in the District 9A tournament at Buford Ellington Golf Course at Henry Horton State Park. Hampshire, Loretto, Santa Fe, and Summertown participated in the District 10A tournament at Lawrenceburg Golf and Country Club. That means they have a pool.
They do have a pool.
And Lawrence County played in the District 9 AA tournament at Tullahoma.
And that's it for your rundown on Southern Middle Tennessee sports today. Couple of statewide reactions, Mo, to high school football. I'm a little surprised. Anderson County with defeating South Doyle, giving them their first loss of the year. That was a little surprising to me. I mean, Anderson County came in 1-3, but a very good Anderson County team, as we've talked about on our pregame show. This is a team that we expected to be pretty good. South Doyle, I don't think we expected them to be 4-0 going into this game, and so now you're just seeing how tough that region really is.
Yeah, I think Anderson County's 1-3 record going into that was kind of the byproduct of a strong early schedule for them. So that win over South Doyle, I don't think it's a reflection on South Doyle as much as it is that Anderson County was a little bit better than their record showed, probably. So
yeah, no question. And if you want to hear more about those East Tennessee, West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee games, and you are not listening to the pregame show on Friday nights at 6 o'clock, certainly do that. We get into it statewide, and it's a lot of fun talking about teams that we don't get to talk about a lot on this show. So, also, we have talked about South Pittsburgh on this show. They didn't have any issue with Whitwell winning 49-3. So,
well, they didn't have as much issue with Whitwell as the Argos had on Friday night, I don't think. What was that final?
It wasn't good. JP said that he watched a little bit of it, and they were not playing very good defense.
They were losing 26-6, something like that, and we're just missing tackles left and right. So I thought it was a little ironic that we had just talked about it earlier in the day, and you see that. But, you got to work your way back into it, I guess.
Final score, Saskatchewan Roughriders 30, Toronto Argonauts 16 on Friday night. I bet the Roughriders and everybody else that the Argos play the rest of the way will find some fans down in Marion County.
Oh, there's no question there. That'll be the biggest CFL contingent of fans in the United States will be in Marion County, Tennessee.
Rooting for
whoever is playing Toronto.
Whoever's playing Toronto, yes.
Oh, man, that's great. Also, this was the surprise of the week for me. Battleground Academy, and for 3 quarters, absolutely dominated Class 2 or Division II Class 2A number 1 Davidson Academy and ended up getting the win. Double-digit win for the Wildcats. That shocked me. I don't know about you guys.
Well, one, they're not number 1.
They were they not?
No.
Oh.
No, Lipscomb's 1, CPA's 2.
That's right.
Yeah.
Davidson Academy, that's right there.
Yeah. But Davidson Academy was the 3-time defending
1A
champion, moving up to 2A this year, and had pretty much had their way with everybody they had played to this point. But BGA has been tested. They lost in week 2 to Ravenwood, but they've really stepped up their schedule. And Jonas Rodriguez, I believe, is in his 3rd year over there, coming back from ECS after having previously been on the staff at Ensworth, took the place at BGA of current Ensworth coach Rock Batten, and has the Wildcats playing pretty well right now, obviously.
Yeah, that one was the shock of the weekend for me, especially in the mid-state. I don't know about that one.
You look at it on paper, yes, and that makes sense. But I think those that have seen BGA this week, Mo just kind of referenced it, they have been playing very well. And for the first time, as you talked as well, Davidson Academy, kind of their first test up in this new division. So you didn't know what to expect. You have an idea, and so they've got a little work to do to get to that upper echelon that they experienced for so many years down in the lower division.
I will say this, though. Between Davidson, BGA, CPA, and Lipscomb, you feel like the Division II AA state champion is going to come out of Middle Tennessee.
It runs through that.
I
Those
would
four, no
take
question.
one of those versus the field in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no question.
The understatement of the day.
I'll take all of those versus the field. And we're going to see one of those four on Thursday night. I don't know if you're going or not, JP.
I really want to go. I'm hoping we can work some things out to make it happen, but we'll have to see.
Well,
It is a must-see high school football game.
And it's kind of unfortunate you doing what you do and not getting to see any ball.
That's true. I don't get to get out, so I'd love to take an opportunity on Thursday to go see. Of course, what we're talking about, Oakland and Lipscomb Academy on Thursday night, playing at Oakland. I think they're still at Oakland. They haven't moved it yet.
I don't think they're gonna move it.
There's plenty of room there.
Yeah, but we feel pretty good about having Kevin Creasy, recently announced 2021 Tennessee Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame inductee, Kevin Creasy, on with us on Thursday prior to that game.
Nice.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Real quick, this morning a press conference was held, and is there a story up on the website yet, Mo?
Is there a story up? There is a story up on the website.
The Rumble in the Jungle. Mount Pleasant hosting Columbia Central.
Lions and Tigers, no Bears.
No Bears yet.
Oh my!
No.
It's coming though. No. Obviously, Friday night, 7:00, a 5:30 tailgate, an official tailgate, will commence at 5:30 on the campus of Mount Pleasant, and they will be taking part in a series that includes Spring Hill, all three county high school football teams that play in the public school sector. Are playing each other, and the winner of the series, much like the Commander-in-Chief trophy that Air Force, Army, and Navy play for each year, at least for the next 2 years, will earn the right to host or hoist the Sparkman Daily Wade Trophy presented by Jones and Lang Sporting Goods and Southern Middle Tennessee Sports.
Yeah.
Hey! It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited about being able to have that given to the winner of that at the end of the year.
I think it's nice. I think it's obviously it's rare when all three of those schools are playing each other on the gridiron, and so I think it's worth recognizing the winner of that series. Absolutely.
We're hearing rumors that Page and Giles County could be canceled this week, or postponed, or probably canceled because it's not a region game. So could happen. We'll get confirmation later, hopefully. All of that coming up. We'll talk to Joe Williams later in this hour. So stick around. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today returns with high school reactions right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Fast Stop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Fast Stop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Fast Stop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. (615-250-2723), 615-250-2723, and get smart about your coverage. If you are an educator or a teacher, Jason's going to give you a discount. So make sure to give Jason Egley a call. Lawrenceburg native, Jason Egley. Gotta love him. That's 615-250-2723. Again, get smart about your coverage and call Jason Egley, your local farmer's agent.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Local sports talk you'll only find here. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back into Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Glad to have you with us on this Monday edition of the show. Once again, want to let folks know that if you want to get Main Street Maury, the print publication that includes game stories and recaps and previews of high school football, you can get a free subscription if you are in Maury County. All you have to do is go to mainstreetmaury.com, click the menu in the top left, scroll down to subscribe, hit subscribe, and place your address in there, and we will mail you a copy. It's very simple. Whether or not you get that copy is up to the post office. So don't come at me, bro. No, seriously, we'll do everything we can to get you the copy. I promise. Interesting information here, as we have not confirmed that Page Giles County cancellation, but hope to do that at some point. As of now, it's still playing, as far as we know. So we have the information. We just are trying to verify. So as soon as we can, one way or the other, we'll let you know. Until then, we will react to Friday night football and Saturday afternoon football. Saturday afternoon high school football that included a pretty impressive win for Mount Pleasant over Loretto. Every time the Tigers needed a big play, Loretto would threaten a couple of times late to get back in it, and the Tigers found a way to force a couple of fumbles to keep the Mustangs out of the end zone, and they get a 17-7 win in that Region 5 2A, which again is kind of up in the air, although Forest certainly laid their stake on Friday night. We'll talk about that in a minute too.
Yeah, I think Mount Pleasant going on the road and picking up that win, going on the road twice.
Yeah,
actually.
went down there Friday night, didn't get to play. I guess it's a little different when you go from Mount Pleasant to Loretto than Lincoln County or Fayetteville to Spring Hill. I mean, it's a little shorter anyway.
I'll take your word for it. I just know it's not a trip that I'd have wanted to make twice in 2 days for one game if it could have been avoided. But at least they came back with the win and did all their damage in the second quarter. Jackson Collier got them on the board with a field goal, and then a couple of Nick Brown to DeMarcus Brown touchdown passes had them up 17-0 at the half, and that's pretty much the way the cookie crumbled.
Yeah, second half for Mount Pleasant was actually for both teams. It didn't matter, no matter how many times they threatened, even in the red zone. It just every drive stalled somehow, some way, whether it had been fumble or a penalty that backed up Mount Pleasant, that it took a touchdown off the board, backed them up, forced them into 4 downs, and then just that it felt like there were so many times that both teams could have gotten on the scoreboard, but defenses came up big. So
talk to Kit Hartsfield for a little bit, obviously this morning at the Rumble in the Jungle press conference, but talked a little bit about this ball game, and he said that after halftime, it really got humid, really got steamy. You know, it had rained overnight and rained earlier Saturday morning,
Yep.
and once the rain cleared off and the sun came out, it really got humid and really got hard to play.
and I can certainly, I mean, you've been in that situation. You know what it feels like out there. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And perhaps that had something to do with the dampness of the ball. Just you're sweating so much, your arms, you can't keep them dry, that sort of thing. That just,
He just said he was glad that they had the lead by halftime.
and that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. So obviously both teams played on the same field. They had to deal with the same issues.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, conditioning clearly becomes an issue in that kind of humidity and heat.
The only thing that I kind of took away from watching what little bit I didn't look like Tavarius Strayhorn was 100%. He was still limping on and off the field when he wasn't running, and Kevin Cooper also appeared to have a little bit of trouble keeping his injury in check as well.
I don't think those guys are 100%.
They were good enough, though.
And I don't know that they will be 100%, but apparently Xavier Davidson has torn an ACL, is out for the year. And so you may have some guys that are trying to suck it up and say, hey, 80% of me is better than none. And
Especially T.
yeah, and
as a senior.
It looks as if Strayhorn is going to see a little bit more time at running back.
Having both of those guys in the backfield can be dangerous. I mean, Notre Dame box and all, but could certainly be dangerous to have both of those guys back there.
Yeah. So that seems to be the approach going the rest of the way here again with Davidson out. The junior running back, he injured that knee in the first half against Cascade, and it doesn't seem as if he's going to be back, which is unfortunate for him and for Mount Pleasant. But again, if Cooper is back and he's getting healthier, and Perez Carter is in the mix to some degree, I think he's still got a little bit of an injury as well. But they're going to try to piece it together. And again, came back from that 16-14 loss at home to Cascade to win 17-7 at Loretto. So they're 1-1 in the region with a road win.
Not as long of a delay, but I bet it felt like it on Friday night when you had to endure an hour and a half of lightning delays. And if you listen to the Lincoln County radio crew, wasn't no reason for any delays.
Well,
They absolutely went in on Spring Hill administration on the radio broadcast.
well, and I'm glad you said that, because I was a good friend of mine, Chuck Morris, was on the officiating crew. We go back to MTSU, but I was hanging out with him and some of the guys, and I was made aware that prior to the coin flip, that weather delay decision lies with the home team administration. It's not the officials' call until after the coin is flipped. And so it sounds as if the Lincoln County radio crew went in on the right folks.
Well, there you go. Lightning, in order to constitute a delay, lightning must be detected within 12 miles. Now,
And what I'm also told is it has to be a strike, not a flash, which
That's correct.
for you meteorologists out there, that's got to be cloud to ground, not cloud to cloud, was the way it was explained to me. If it's just a flash of lightning, that's not endangering anything. But if it's to ground, then that's where your issues come in.
Yeah, well, the issues were not just weather related. Spring Hill had every opportunity in overtime number 1. They get a big stop on Lincoln County and can't punch it in the first overtime, and then they end up punching it in on what, two plays?
One.
On first down?
First down, they scored.
They score on first down and then can't get the 2-point conversion, which left the door open. And the backup kicker for the Falcons.
Well, he wasn't the backup kicker by Friday. He was the backup kicker at the beginning of the week.
Right. The first stringer was not on the trip
Was not on the team.
Oh, wow. Really? So again, I'm basing this off of what I'm hearing from the radio crew.
Well, if you'd read my article, you'd have known.
And
We didn't have a kicker after Wednesday. Disciplinary issues.
gotcha. So I didn't know he wasn't on the team.
No, he wasn't on the team. Said I came in expecting to go for 2 points every time. I told him the only way I'd try an extra point or a field goal was if we were tied and going for the win. So he kind of called his shot.
He did, in fact.
Midweek.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Tough loss for Spring Hill.
Brutal loss for Spring Hill. I mean,
Had every chance to win it.
they forced 5 turnovers. Scored off one of them.
Yeah. Took it back.
Yeah.
House call. Yeah. Tough loss.
Trower Davis with the 54-yard interception return to get them on the board, actually. So, yeah, they had their opportunities and just couldn't cash. And so they lose that game by 1 in double overtime after losing by a touchdown to Lewis County the week before. And, you know, with those kind of outcomes, you just kind of got to wonder, when's it going to break for Spring Hill? Is it going to break for Spring Hill? Because they've got.
That was certainly a good opportunity.
Who do they have this week?
They got a shot. They've got their chances, and we'll see. But it's going to take a lot of a lot of resiliency.
Oh, no question. Yeah, because, I mean, again, that's the type of game that can leave a mark right there.
Certainly. Real quick, got a couple of minutes left. Columbia Central with the win over Nolensville kind of puts them in the driver's seat. They certainly control their own destiny.
Oh, without question. Yeah, I mean, they've got Lincoln County, and Spring Hill left, right?
There's no reason, that they shouldn't host a playoff game
at the very least.
At the very least, again, after that win over Nolensville, and they get Page in 2 weeks.
And where is that game?
It's at Columbia Central.
There you go.
I think. Now that you said you've got me thinking it may be at Page. They played at Page last year, so that's why I'm thinking it's at Central. But
it's at Page.
It's at Page. Okay, so they're going back to back there with the 2-year new contracts.
Right.
You never know. But yeah, so they'll go to Page, and that's a tough place to play. But it's turf, so there's that. But again, Columbia Central controls their destiny, and after what they were able to do defensively on Friday night, and obviously, you never know what mindset Page was in when they went to Franklin County, but Franklin County certainly gave Page all they wanted and more on Friday night.
I think there might be something to Franklin County playing at home, because you go back
Certainly.
to that Columbia Central game last year.
Yeah, they like it when they're at home.
Apparently,
And
they don't like getting on the bus.
I don't blame them, to be honest with you.
There you go.
That's the thing is, this 6-5A region is Page.
When you travel, you got to travel.
It's not easy to do. Now, Central to Page is not that's not a tough.
Right.
That's what, 20, 25 miles tops,
Right.
and it's mostly highway the whole way, so you're good. But yeah, this is big night for Jordan Davis, 148 yards for him.
Okay, so Q's had his night, Jordan's had his night.
We're
Must be Caden
or
Friday
Christian
night.
and I think, honestly, they look good throwing the ball too when they had to. Now, the numbers don't look great, but that's partly because he threw like 4 passes at the end of the half trying to score before halftime when he had like a minute to go. So I'm not taking a whole lot away from Luke Usselton there. He did score twice on a couple of quarterback sneaks. So anyway, we got about a minute left, Mo. Let's hand out some game balls. What do you say?
Go ahead.
Speaking of Jordan Davis, we'll give one away to the wing-back, running back athlete from Columbia Central. Again, 148 yards for the sophomore. Also, over at Independence, it was Trey Hartwell and Jack Rummel having a heck of a night. Hartwell, 20 carries, 168 yards, a couple touchdowns. Jack Rummel, 6 catches, 187 yards, and 3 scores.
Dominic Hollis from Summit, all he did was carry the ball 7 times for 127 yards and a score in their 36-0 win over Centennial. And we've already talked about Kevin Cooper and DeMarcus Brown from Mount Pleasant, both those guys with game balls as well.
Congratulations to those folks. When we come back, we're going to talk to Joe Williams of the Williamson Herald. We'll talk about that Summit game and several others. So stick around. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint, returns right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Fast Stop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Fast Stop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Fast Stop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Talking high school sports, here's Mo and Chris.
Welcome back in to Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Coming to you from the Lee Company studio and WKOM 101.7 FM, the Front Porch Sports headquarters, and WZYXradio.net, of course. And you can watch us live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us as we continue to react to high school football on Friday night. We'll get to the college and pro varieties of football on the other side of the top of the hour. So stick around for that as well. Right now, though, we want to bring you Joe Williams of the Williamson Herald, brought to you by our friends at the Williamson Herald, who have you covered from Brentwood to Spring Hill, Nolensville to Fairview. High school sports coverage around the clock.
I was toting my pack along
Oh.
the dusty Winnemucca road.
Joe Williams brings he brings a little bit of everything from, like I said, top to bottom, east to west, north to south, doesn't
A,
matter.
a
He's been
little of
everywhere.
everything from everywhere. Huh? There we go.
That's true. Joe, where were you on Friday?
You really don't expect me to live up to that, do you?
He's been everywhere, man.
You always do.
Well, okay. Yeah, Friday I was at Spring Hill at Independence for the Franklin game. And
So let me this is funny because you say that. So you
no,
were
I'm
at,
sorry. I was at Thompson
Thompson.
Station.
There we
yes.
go.
So you were
Forgive
at
me.
Indy Franklin, not Indy Centennial, and not Summit Centennial.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I'm an old man.
It's
Come
all right.
on.
It's all right. We just got to give you a hard time.
That's not
Come on,
that wasn't we.
I noticed that.
That was he.
That's why he doesn't respond to my text messages because I always give him crap on the show.
Well, no, actually, I was driving, so I was.
Well, then
there you go.
Answer my question: is Rush Probst going to be the next coach at South Pittsburgh? Is that?
Depends on how much money they've saved in paint.
Oh, hello. You're going way back now. You're getting good and catty. Look at you, man. Joe Williams from the Williamson Herald with us here on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today.
We have gotten off the rails quick. My bad.
Joe. I don't remember if it was Chris or if it was Charles that pointed out that there's been a 0 involved in every Centennial ball game this year, and Friday was no exception.
Yeah, it's funny. After the first win over Overton, that's one of the things that Coach Kreisky was most excited about. He's, we really haven't had a shutout here since, since maybe the first or second season that I was here. And so, it's good to get a shutout. Well, they got 3 wins, and all of them are by shutout. Unfortunately, their 2 losses are also by shutouts.
Feast or famine.
Careful what you wish for. Yeah.
Yeah. That said, that's not the 2 teams that have shut them out have been pretty good.
Well, I was going to say you've got to look at who shut them out.
Yeah.
Their last shutout prior to this year was 2016,
Yeah.
and that was Henry County, by the way.
Was that in the playoffs?
This is a playoff game.
I was at that game.
That was their last shutout.
Yeah, I think. Is there a certain Buffalo Bills linebacker that was on that team, Joe?
Oh, there is definitely a certain Buffalo Bill linebacker that was on that team.
There
Yes,
you go.
sir.
Okay. All right.
That's one of the reasons it was a shutout.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I've not had one since.
Because he's playing for Buffalo and has played elsewhere since.
Exactly. Yeah.
He became an Aggie first,
Joe, what did you see out of Summit? I mean, I've seen him once. I saw him once. Chris is going to see him this weekend, but what did you think of him, particularly relative to last year?
I saw 3 things that truly impressed me greatly. One was the play of the offensive line. And I'd like to tell you that so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, but I can't because it was just the entire line and the way they played together. They really controlled that front. Secondly, Joe Cummings and Jack Rummel had a really special night. Rummel catches all 3 of the touchdown passes, and I mean the stats were a little gaudy, to be honest. I mean, I think Rummel threw for like 277, Cummings threw for 277. Rummel, let me go back and look because I want to make sure I get this part right.
6 for 187.
Yeah, and he had touchdown throws 29, 43, and I think 67. I mean, it was just ugly. They hit a couple, bringing him out of the slot on what looked like just a little slant over the middle, and the pass covered maybe 8 to 12 yards, and he did the rest on his own. I mean, he really slashed that secondary. And the other thing that really impressed me, Trey Hartwell, let me tell you, the kid got some hard yards, and then he picked up some big yards. I mean, he really proved to me that he is a true all-purpose back. You can send him in the middle to get those last 2 that you need, or you can send him around the corner, and he can pick up 15 or 20.
Yeah, I got a little confused. You were at Indy Franklin, not Summit Centennial, but what What's your read on Franklin at this point? I mean, Bryce Sparks was out early. He's back. He had a pretty big game for Franklin, but they didn't have much of anything to go with him.
No, part of it, Cooper Brown had a tough night and came in limping. It came off limping at one point in the first half, and I think that from a quarterback spot, he was a little hampered there. Of course, he only threw 8 passes, and every one of them, he was under some really heavy pressure. Sparks, 23 times for 107 yards. I thought Ashton Orton came in and got him some good yards. I think he's a good, I don't want to say decoy. That's not the right word. Compliment. If they learn how to use those two together. But the biggest thing was they just couldn't get a hold. Now and when they did, they had a couple of really nice drives, but then they fizzled out. Be a penalty here, something there. Franklin right now looks like a snake bit team.
I was going to ask you, obviously Bryce Sparks is the guy for them, and he did his part. So it's kind of got to be frustrating for Franklin. It's not that the guys that they expect to have big games aren't doing their part. It's just that it feels like there's just not as much of a supporting cast as maybe there has been in the last few years.
Well, I think they're still looking. No, there weren't the names, and they knew coming in that there weren't the quote unquote names that were going to come in, and they're still waiting on somebody to step up. And it just, I think Ashton Orton made a case for himself that he's ready to step up if you give him the opportunity. But I'm not sure. I'm just not sure they're there yet. And look, they got a brand new coach, new system. Alex Melton, the head coach, afterwards kept talking about, we've got to find our strengths and improve our strengths. But I think he's excited because these kids did not give up. They kept working. They played right to the last horn. And I think give them time, they're going to be okay. I mean, they probably ought to be 2-3 right now, but they're not. I think Friday night against McGavock is a big test for them. But like I said, I think they're just a snake bit team. It's one of those things in those situations where good things were happening, something went wrong.
I think the thing I like about Alex Melton in this situation is he's really an even-keeled dude. He's not going to get rattled or panic over this type thing. I mean, if you think about a trust the process type guy, I think that's going to be Alex Melton's mantra throughout this.
That's what we talked about with Summit. And so coming from that program where they're all that way, and he may be the reason they're that way. So you're exactly right, Mo. I think you hit the nail on the head there. He's so even keeled.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right.
Not snake bit is the reigning Class 5A champion, now in Class 6A, just running roughshod over everybody that crosses their path, is the Summit Spartans.
They put some points on the board. They've racked up some yards, but they've still got, a couple 3. I think Friday night's a big game against Beach. That rivalry started in a playoff series, and it's just kind of continued. And I think that's going to be a great contest for them. But then they got Ravenwood the next week, and then, their most hated nation coming up next in Indy Nation. So, this is a 3-week stretch that will tell us something. I think it'll tell us a lot. And the scary part is you got to remember. No, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say something, but I'm not, because if anything happens, I'll get blamed. But you just, if I'll put it this way, if they stay healthy, they may well be the first team ever to win a 5A and then a 6A title. I think they're potentially that good.
I can't disagree with you. And to be honest with you, Joe, I think I don't know if I want to say this, but I think whoever comes out of this region gets to Chattanooga. I don't know that there's anything out of the Memphis area that can really slow them down. I think you could see Region 7 6A represented in the finals against either Oakland or Maryville.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. You talk about out of the Memphis area or region, but just anything out of the West State. I mean, you've got, let's see, 6 will take on 7. Right?
No. 5 will take on 6.
5 will take on 6. Okay.
Yep.
Well, what have we got in 5? And I'm going there real quick just to be sure I get myself straight here. The challenge there, you've got Hendersonville and Beach. We'll know something after they play Beach.
That's right.
Cane Ridge, is still probably the team in 6, and those two will fight it out. 7 goes west. Collierville is undefeated. Germantown's pretty good. You've always got Whitehaven. I still think Whitehaven may be the best team in that region. Even sitting 3-2.
I don't disagree with you. I think 6A is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Much more fun than it has been or was last year, obviously, because we didn't have Region
Memphis,
8 to deal with.
Right.
So this is going to be a lot more fun. Real quick, Joe, before we let you go, I want to talk briefly. Kennedy Pendergrass had a really great game over for Fairview last week or on Friday night, 14-22, 297, 5 touchdowns over Cheatham County. So,
who's surprised?
that a quarterback would be good over there.
Yeah, he plays for the quarterback whisperer over there. Yeah,
I was going to say, look, Mo Patton, Chris Yao, Joe Williams, right now, could go spend 2 years under Chris Hughes and be a college candidate in 2 years.
Speak for yourself.
You never know.
Yeah,
you never.
Okay.
know.
I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just. I mean, he
has a way.
produces these. He produces these things like the factory produces Tootsie Rolls. I mean,
he does.
They just keep rolling off.
It's pretty impressive. Joe, you've been everywhere. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks, and you've been a couple more places. What do you say?
Gentlemen, if you need me, I'm here. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Joe Williams
Bye,
of the
y'all.
Williams and Herald coming to you just like every other week. I used to sing this in karaoke, and let me tell you, it is not easy.
Oh, I'm sure.
So come back with us. We got the Titans on the other side of the break and college football in hour 2. Stick around. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Day returns after this.
Across the desert, it's bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Fast Stop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Fast Stop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Fast Stop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
preps to pros and everything in between. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio. With the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back in Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, JP Plant, coming to you from the Lee Company studio, Columbia, Tennessee. We are in the Front Porch Sports headquarters of WKOM 1017 FM and live on WZYXradio.net, as well as on Twitter. So we continue Reaction Monday. See us on YouTube as well. We've been getting quite a few more views on YouTube recently.
Hey.
So, yeah, for those of you out there watching, we appreciate it. It is time now to reminisce on the greatness and the roller coaster that we all experienced yesterday at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. But first, instead of click-clacking all the way to the top of that first drop, let's just take you right to the... We're going to take you right to the end of the ride and go backwards with Mike Keith's call of... I'm not even going to call him the nickname that everybody's given him. Randy Bullock's game winner.
This is a 36-yarder to win it. Young man from Klein, Texas. Snap, set, kick. Go! Yes! Yes! How about these Titans? Yes! 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 The impossible situation, possible. Everybody said it couldn't happen, and it happened. Overcoming their own mistakes and finding a way to get to 1-1 and beat Seattle in Seattle. How about that? The fight is stopped with 4:45 remaining in overtime. And the Titans scoring the last 17 of the day to beat the Seahawks 33-30. As Tennessee comes to the great Northwest and gets it done again.
Two things I want to mention. One, I heard a statistic today on the George Plaster Show, which you can hear on these airwaves every day before our show from 2 to 4. If you didn't hear this and you haven't heard this, it's going to blow your minds. Under Mike Vrabel, the Tennessee Titans have won 9 consecutive games following a double-digit loss. That is insane.
9 consecutive games following a loss.
They are 9-2 under Mike Vrabel,
coming off a
double-digit loss in the same season.
Oh,
Obviously,
double-digit loss.
Double-digit loss.
They've won 9 straight games.
Won 9 straight games the next week.
After a double-digit loss.
That's correct. That is the most insane stat I've ever heard. What does he do? Somehow, Mike...
But you know what else that means? That means at least 9 times they've lost in double digits.
By double digits. 11 times total under Mike Vrabel. But it just feels like whatever he does on that Monday, Tuesday, following that loss,
to get them to flush it,
he can figure it out. He reads the room as a former player. Mm-hmm. He reads the room better than other coaches may do. He knows whether or not to get in their butts or if they need a hug. You know what I mean? Like,
I wonder if he reads the room or if it's just the room that he's created.
I think both of it. I think part of it is the atmosphere that he's created within that organization, and he also knows exactly what those guys need.
And when they need it?
When they need it. It's really impressive. So I just wanted to give a kudos to Mike Vrabel for that.
That is solid.
Well, and another part of that, calling out Julio Jones midweek. Mike, he talked about in pregame that Julio came in motivated for whatever reason. And
I'm not giving Mike Vrabel credit for Julio Jones. I think Julio Jones' professional pride.
I agree. But I don't think you can dismiss
but there
the
are
coaching
a lot
style.
a lot of people, a lot of coaches who wouldn't have done that,
And just allowed him to be the professional, which he probably would have done, Mo. I agree. But I still think it puts it out there in the public, and any motivation. I'm just
all right. Then if we're going to call out people, then how does 78 keep getting a pass, or 77, or whatever his number is that I would like to forget?
I think the biggest thing, I don't think he's getting a pass. I think it's just Mike Vrabel knows who he can do it to and who he can do it with. And he also knows that Taylor Lewan is going to tweet out, I got to play better every time, because that's what he does every time he screws up. He tweets out how bad he's got to play, or how bad he did play, and how much better he's going to play, and he never does. And this team is better without Taylor Lewan.
And when you texted me that yesterday, I had already thought about it. They don't win that game with him on the field.
Let me tell you my theory on this. My theory is that the offensive coaches trust Taylor Lewan so much that they curate their running game around Taylor Lewan, and defenses know that that's the tendency. So when he's not in the game, they don't know what's coming. But when he is in the game, just like last week, run to the left, run to the left. This week, run to the right. So I think that's part of it. But that's why I think we're a better team without him, because it makes the defense less likely to know the tendency of the Titans. And that's an offensive coordinator problem. That's not necessarily a Taylor Lewan problem, but
I think there is something to that about so much trust in that player, and it's
unearned.
That's not my point. But yes, I agree.
I don't argue with that. But I think it is there. He's getting paid those big bucks, and so he gets that respect from the coaching staff and the play. And I think the team is definitely better without this Taylor Lewan.
Again, I don't know what he's done to earn that trust. Those bucks.
I think that it must be in the locker room. I think there is an element that he brings of a teammate, an ultimate teammate, that may be an intangible. I think there's some intangible value to him. Well, I don't know that for sure, but that's my guess.
As former Vanderbilt coach Derek Mason would say, I need you to take that from the class to the grass then, because I'm not seeing
underperforming
for 60 minutes on Sunday afternoon.
He has underperformed for
I've not
2 or 3
seen it
years.
for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it in his contract year.
Yep.
And that's the last time and the only time that we've seen it. Amazing, isn't it?
And he's not alone in that. But
No,
you're
you're
right.
right.
You look back at the
That doesn't
numbers.
make it right.
Oh no, I'm just
Yeah, I mean, contract years for everybody tend to be better years. It just is.
that sense of urgency.
But nonetheless, let's get off that, because Taylor Lewan didn't play, and
they won.
Derrick Henry ran for 180
82.
yards, and they go to was it 5-0 or 6? They've never lost when Derrick Henry runs for more than 150 yards. Never.
Something like that. Yeah, I saw that stat.
So that one came from Teresa Walker, who, happy birthday, T.
Oh.
She has a birthday on my birthday eve.
It is a big day tomorrow. We'll get more of that.
Of course, when you get a 150-yard rushing
easier to
game
win.
out of somebody, I mean, I don't know that that's foreign to Derrick Henry necessarily, or to the Titans necessarily, but I mean, it's certainly nice to have a guy that can get you 150.
First time ever a run more than 25 yards in the first month of the season yesterday on that 61-yard touchdown run. And that's both of his big runs were Derrick Henry made. Outside, well, I don't know. The touchdown run, I'll give a big shout out to A.J. Brown, who took the blitzing cornerback or safety all the way into Tannehill, and Henry goes right at right in that hole for 61. So good job to A.J. Brown for getting the big block.
And that's one thing about this receiving core.
They can block.
Can, will, and don't mind.
Love it. They want to. They want to hit somebody.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I take away. Obviously, the offense holding the football in the second half and maintaining possession, turning that around. But I tell you what, how about the defensive front getting pressure on Russell Wilson, especially in overtime? They stepped up when they needed to, made some really big plays, I think, late in that second half.
Should have ended the game on a safety.
How was that not a safety?
It was.
I think the official didn't want to end the game on
a safety. That's exactly what it was.
And was there something in there? I was listening to the radio, so I didn't hear the official's version from TV of why they didn't look at it.
I don't know that they ever explained it.
There wasn't one.
I picked up a little bit that maybe that was something that they could not review.
Oh, you can definitely review the spot of the ball.
You would think.
You can 1,000% review the spot of the ball.
But it looked like to the naked eye that he was in the end zone. The ball was in the end zone.
Yes.
And forward progress was in the end zone.
It looked like to the clothed eye. He was in the end zone. I mean, the fully dressed eye. He was in the end zone.
It was a safety. It should have been a safety. And the ironic part of the Titans getting that play on third down and then winning the game on a field goal is just the absolute most Titan thing ever.
When the defense and the kicking game have been so quickly so maligned. Yeah.
And those are the two ways that you win the game.
At Seattle in overtime.
First time they've lost under Pete Carroll in their home opener. So 12 straight games they had won under Pete Carroll in their home openers. And that was the first one they'd ever lost. That's a big deal. Now,
especially as tough a place to play as Seattle is.
No question. I mean,
you have to. You really got to tip your cap to this Titan team for what they got done yesterday. I mean, they clearly put themselves behind the 8 ball, coming off the loss to Arizona and getting down 24-9 at the half.
Should have been 24-9. Should have been 24-17.
No, I don't. Oh yeah.
We won't talk about that today. We may get into that later.
In it. But I mean, 15 points down at Seattle to come back and even force overtime, let alone win in overtime. I mean, as down as we were on this team last week, I think we deserve to be that up on them this week, and thus the clickety-clack.
Yeah, to the top before the big drop.
All year.
Let's hope it's not. Let's just get to the top and stay there for a little while. It's not a very fun roller coaster, but it's a lot more fun NFL season when you do that. We've got a lot of college football to get to. We also are going to talk a little bit about the Braves in the final segment as well, so stick around for that. But SEC college football coming up on the other side. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today returns to the Lee Company studio after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Fast Stop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Fast Stop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Fast Stop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Covering the teams you care about. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Once again, live from the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton. Here's Chris Yao.
What's up? Welcome back in. College football coming at you now. How excited are we that college football now appears to be a wide open race?
Is it? How,
I said appears.
define wide open.
It ain't Alabama and everybody else.
But it is Alabama.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
but they are at least mortal, as evidenced on Saturday, and that's where we'll start after getting up 21-3.
Yeah.
They did not look great after number 82 just waved off a muffed kick, and then Emory Jones decided to go 99 yards.
99 yards.
Which has only happened, I think, 4 times against Nick Saban's Alabama defenses in the history of him being there for the last 12 years. That's impressive. Yeah, 99 yards when down 2 scores. Needed a touchdown. And got one.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, like you said, going 99 yards against Alabama. I mean, I even tweeted it. Florida just went 99 yards on Alabama. I mean, just because it clearly does not happen that often. They usually get off the field on that in those type situations. I mean, they usually hold you to a 3 and out right there, make you punt it back to them, and they get it on the plus side of the 50. They go score and they blow you out right there.
And I think that's part of, now, granted, Dan Mullen's 0-11 against Nick Saban in his career. But also, he had Mississippi State talent for a lot of that. And don't get me wrong, Dak Prescott, clearly fantastic. But the rest of the crew wasn't exactly what Florida has speed-wise across the board. Things that don't happen against Alabama happened in this
against
game.
Alabama. Yeah.
Florida goes 99 yards, 42 rushes, 245 yards. And I'm just going to say this because it is what it is. Dan Mullen has some experience against Henry To'o, and he knows exactly where his weak spot is, and he exploited it multiple times across the middle. And honestly, I think that had a lot to do with Alabama's problems. Is that Dan Mullen knew exactly where to attack their defense, and that was Henry To'o across the middle. So you have to give him credit for that.
That's an interesting twist there. I hadn't really thought about it. But who else is able to do that against Alabama?
I think there are a couple teams.
Georgia and A&M?
I don't know if it's A&M.
Well, not recently. I
think-
mean,
I think Arkansas has a better chance to do that to Alabama than anybody else. Even Auburn, because Tank is pretty good. Now, Auburn needs some better receivers, but we'll get into that here in a minute.
Well, Auburn might need, if Tank is pretty good, then maybe Tank should get it a little bit more often than he did Saturday night in Happy Valley.
I think the problem with him is that he's a tank. And I don't know that his conditioning is to the point where he can take it 20, 25 times a game. And that's an unfortunate byproduct of being Tank Bigsby. And speaking of the Auburn-Penn State game, JP, I'm not trying to call you out, but I don't think Auburn was intimidated. I mean,
I never said intimidated. I said that the whiteout
would have an effect.
I didn't say intimidated.
Do you think it had an effect, though?
I think the noise.
Did it have more of an effect than any SEC road game? That is my question, because I didn't think it would.
I think it was louder than probably most SEC stadiums, Death Valley notwithstanding. Now, was that the reason they lost? No, I don't think that, but it does have an effect. I mean, that's one of those rare experiences, and you can't go in there and not notice that, 106,000 white pom-poms shaking in unison and yelling in unison. I mean, it's a great setting. It was, and I'm glad that they don't do that as, too terribly often. I didn't realize this was like only the 13th time they've done this. I heard the intro to Holly Rowe did. I mean, she was in the student section.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys got to hear that, but on ESPN, and she could barely hear Chris Fowler trying to throw it down to her. It was so loud, as you would expect, but what a great experience. No, I don't think it had anything to do with them losing, but that's something you have to deal with, and I think it is different because they're not accustomed to it being like that. You're accustomed to hearing the Roll Tide and going to Georgia and sick 'em dogs. I mean, you get accustomed to that, but going to a place that, and the fact that Auburn hadn't been to a Big Ten true road game in a century. I mean, there was just so many things that was going to feel different than a typical SEC road game. That was my point.
I don't know. Death Valley was measured at 132 decibels. Happy Valley on Saturday got to 120. So I'm just that's neither here nor there. I don't think it had as much as any more impact on the game as any other SEC road game. But you're right, understanding the environment and
I think just the
versus
environment
not understanding the environment
was different.
Different. Sure.
It was just so different for Auburn. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
Sure.
that it was just different. No, you're right. I mean, you play those environments every Saturday.
Yeah. And you're not playing it on, nobody's doing the whiteout. Now, Georgia has done blackouts, and they won't ever do one again, I don't think, after the last 2 times they've done it. But Auburn held Penn State to 84 yards rushing. Their quarterback, however, had a better completion rate than rushing yards his team had.
Wow.
88% completion rate.
There's your stat of the day.
That's impressive. And that's the difference in the game, is that Auburn couldn't get off the field on 3rd down because the quarterback was so good. Although I will have to ask you this, and I know, was there defensive pass interference on the fade? As bad of a play call as it was, should there have been defensive pass interference on the fade?
I just thought they were both trying to make a play on the ball.
I need you to watch the play again.
Wait a minute. Did the kid get his head around or not?
The receiver never got farther than 1 yard into the end zone because he was being pushed backwards by the defensive back.
Maybe I'm getting plays mixed up. Well,
it was an absolute
molesting,
horrible no call because the ball, where the ball ended up, probably would have been a jump ball, but certainly catchable had he gotten there. And the defensive back literally had him jammed at the goal line and wasn't letting go. I thought it should have been pass interference. I think if Bo Nix throws the ball in the vicinity of where the receiver is, it probably
draws it,
becomes pass interference. But where
as it was, they called it uncatchable.
Probably uncatchable.
But it was uncatchable because he wasn't allowed to get there. Huh?
That's my personal. It's still a terrible play call. You don't you don't throw on 4th and 2 or whatever, and you have Tank Bigsby in your back pocket. You do not throw the football there. And
Anybody
you don't
named Tank.
And you certainly don't call timeout to throw a fade.
To run that play, yeah.
Brian Harsin with his. How do you not drop a Boise State play there? The one time you need a Boise State play, you don't
a
draw
Statue of Liberty.
You
or
don't drop a Boise State play. Just because you play in the SEC doesn't mean we can't use it. Use it if you got it. Anyway, the officiating blunder on the 3rd down too, forcing Penn State to punt on 3rd down was interesting.
I heard they got their downs mixed up.
They
the officials.
did.
I wasn't able to watch it. Obviously, I was.
Yeah, you were a little busy
at the Vandy Stanford game, but.
So I'm watching it at the wedding that I'm at because they literally paid me just to play background music while they drink. It was awesome.
That's a good gig.
While they drank.
Yeah, I was watching football. I didn't care. And so all the officials huddle up and they got 3rd down on the marker, right? Well, the officials huddle up and they try to figure it after a penalty. And so they finally disperse and then make it 4th down. It was everybody in the stadium, including the announcers, everybody except the people wearing stripes knew it was 3rd down. So,
including James Franklin.
Oh, he was well aware. So that was interesting. Speaking of official blunders, let's go to Memphis, where Mo hates double numbers. And now we know why. Because Memphis had 2 number 4s on the field.
Oh boy, at the same time.
At the same time.
During a punt return that they took back for a touchdown.
And they were actually close enough that they were both in the same frame.
Nobody caught it.
Wow.
Certainly nobody that was supposed to.
Nobody caught it. Not even Mike Leach or anybody on Mississippi State staff. Did you see the punt return?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. So this is what happens. The Mississippi State punts. It hits at like the 5, and one of their players goes and bats it back toward the field of play to keep it from being a touchback. Sure. Mississippi State player puts his hand on the ball and his knee on the ground and gets up.
Yeah.
Official comes in, waves his arms
One time.
one and a half times.
I mean, he kind of goes like this.
And then a Memphis player picks the ball up off the ground and returns it for a touchdown.
Calvin Austin, who is like the 10th rated receiver in the next draft, I think, by the way. He's got like world-class speed.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Took that back for a touchdown.
94 yards.
The SEC releases a statement. I'm not even sure if the game was over at the time.
Before they released
a statement that said, yes, the play should have been blown dead because it while it may have been inadvertent, it was still it still was a stop the clock call, which the rule is a whistle or a hand signal is what ends a play. All right. So he made the hand signal.
Hand signal. That's one of the two.
That's one of the two. And they didn't throw a flag on there being two of the same number on the field. So 2 penalties in one play, and it still resulted in a touchdown for Memphis.
And they couldn't review that?
They didn't review that because, well, I don't know if you can review the inadvertent part, but nobody challenged the 2 numbers until way later. I'm pretty sure Twitter is who found out that the 2 numbers were on the field.
It's
at the
interesting
same
because
time.
every scoring play is reviewed.
Correct.
By the office. That's interesting that they didn't
They
catch
didn't know
that.
to look for it, I guess, for the numbers.
Yeah, but supposedly when you review, if you see something else,
can throw the flag.
I think you can, in that review, if you see a penalty of some fashion, maybe I don't know if you can go back and do holding, but something of that nature.
You can do pass interference.
Yeah,
They did get that. In the NFL, I don't know if you can in college. Either way,
I think the bigger
horrible job.
I think the bigger shortcoming there, though, really and truly, is on Mississippi State. Pick the ball up, hand it to the official.
Pick the ball up. I bet they do from now on. I bet they wait to hear a whistle. Finally, got a couple minutes left. We're going to ask you a couple questions, JP. I thought Vanderbilt looked decent in the loss. They didn't look clueless like week 1.
They did not look clueless. They held their own first couple of drives. And then
the halftime, the
end
first,
of the second quarter,
the end of the second quarter, and the first drive of the third quarter,
yeah.
that was the ball game.
Those 8 minutes, the 4 minutes before half and the 4 minutes after half, and they lost that royally. I don't know why, but they had the defense had in the first half had a goal line stand. That was the only time they stopped them, but they had a goal line stand, and the offense looked decent. They had a 4th and 1. In Stanford territory with, at about the 45, or actually, no, it was about the 35-yard line. And instead of going for it on 4th and 1, they elect to kick like a 54-yard field goal.
No, you can't do that.
And that was, I think that was a turning point, not the turning point. But
Yeah, you don't do that.
I was disappointed in that play call.
Other than that, the final 2 minutes, I think they scored 17 points or 13 points. They had 2 field goals and the pick 6.
Yep.
And then Vandy comes out, gets 3 and out on the first drive of the second half,
Stanford
and that
runs
was
it right
it.
down. Yep.
And
All game.
other than that, I thought Vanderbilt played well
Getting better.
considering they've improved.
They're getting better.
That's all that you can ask for, man.
You can.
We've got more national college football coming up on the other side of the break and a little bit of Braves, so stick around on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Fast Stop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Fast Stop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Fast Stop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our OrthoQuick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
The sports talk show you've always wanted. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. From preps to pros. Live from the Lee Company studio. With the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back into Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Live from the Lee Company studio on this Reaction Monday, as it appears the rain may have subsided here out the window. We continue with reaction to college football, and a couple of things. Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma all struggling right now. Ohio State finally pulled away. Clemson did not. They've not allowed a touchdown on defense this year, but they have also scored like 3. So not great for the Tigers. All 3 of these teams we expected to be right in the college football playoff hunt, and none of them look like they deserve to be there right now.
Clemson, Ohio State, and who?
Oklahoma.
Oh. Yeah, but at least they won, which is more than one team we were talking about last week did.
That's true.
Looking at you in that sissy,
Sissy
blue
blue
shirt.
shirt.
Sissy Blue.
I mean, yes, you're right, but we called that. We sat here on this show on Friday and said Fresno State could very well beat UCLA. I mean, they only lost to Oregon by a touchdown.
And we was right. So, I mean,
Was the only thing we were right about. I think. What was your record in Pick'em?
I improved again, as you.
Well, you're
pointed
better
out
than me
last
then
week.
because I did not. I think I got 2 right.
I think I got 4 right. Trying to find it.
3. I
only got
3
4.
and 7.
I went 4 and 6.
I went 4 and 6, I believe.
3 and 7, folks. Oklahoma being part of that, by the way, because Nebraska, I thought Nebraska, y'all, was so bad, and they may be, but Oklahoma certainly didn't let them be.
Can I take a victory lap on that Cornhuskers pick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can and should.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I just felt like I feel like those 3 right there right now would not be in my playoff if I were making the playoffs.
Well, I mean, who would, though?
Well, it's funny you should ask, Alan. Because in our run of show here, I have us giving our top 4 after 3 weeks. And based off of what I've seen, and right now you have to do a lot of cross comparison, right? Illinois beat Nebraska, and then they lost to UTSA.
Yeah.
And so at week 3, you have to do a lot of that. Now,
Well, that's all you have to go on.
this is why I think the AP poll should not be a thing before at least week 3, because there's no reason Notre Dame should be number 12 in the country. 0 reason. All right. My top 4.
There is one reason. They're Notre Dame.
Because they're Notre Dame. That's the only reason they are. Let me tell you my first 3 out, and that will help explain my top 4. My first 3 out, I think these 3 teams can play their way in. I think Oklahoma can still play their way in because they have a schedule that puts them in a position to be able to win some games against teams that are good. Georgia obviously can play their way in because they would have to beat Florida.
Wow, they're part of
and
your first
Alabama.
3 out.
Yes. Well, they've not done based on Clemson, based on what they did against Clemson and what Clemson has done since. I don't think that they're a top 4 team. They didn't score a touchdown against Clemson. So I don't know what makes you think that they're going to score against Alabama. So this is kind of my point. Florida also in my first 3 out, but they would be my number 5, my first team out. I think you have to give Cincinnati a nod because they've won every game by double digits, even though they had to struggle late over Indiana.
Well, Indiana's a good team, though.
But they went on the road
Yeah.
in the Big Ten against a team that a lot of people thought was going to be really good, and they won a football game. Oregon, obviously, based off of what we've seen, Ohio State and others, they went to Ohio State. They got to win. Penn State, I think, number 2 right now because they're the best team in the Big Ten, and they've got a big win over a team that I think is probably top half of the SEC, and then, of course, Alabama at number 1. So Alabama, Penn State, Oregon, Cincinnati. That's my top 4.
That would be an interesting 4. Something different.
Wouldn't it? It'd be fun to watch.
Mo, you ready for yours, or you want me to go?
No, go ahead. Who did you say again, though?
I have Alabama, Penn State, Oregon, Cincinnati. Those are my top 4 based off of eye test and their current resume.
Yeah, definitely Alabama, of course. I do think I think Georgia's going to be there. I think they'll figure out enough offense, and that defense is not going to let anybody score on them. So there's 2. You're right about Penn State. I mean, you have to make them they're the best team in the Big Ten so far, from what we've
And
seen.
they've got a good win.
They went on they got 2. Win at Wisconsin was pretty good.
Win at Wisconsin's huge.
Wisconsin was ranked at that point. So there's 3. And then really, it's between Cincinnati, Oregon, and Oklahoma. I just feel that Oregon is going to slip up at some point because that's the Pac-12 this year. I don't have faith. Now, you could argue they have the best win of anybody so far.
I think Alabama's win over Florida is probably the best win of anybody so far. That's just my
I was
opinion.
real impressed with Florida. on multiple levels. And you're right. Florida has to be in the mix now, even with that one loss.
Absolutely.
I mean,
especially if they get to play Alabama again.
They have to beat Georgia.
Well, yeah, if they beat Georgia, then yeah, they're in the mix. Until they beat Georgia, I think it's Georgia.
Georgia's still there, yeah.
Right now, I've got Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Oregon. Now, Penn State probably should be in there. I probably overlooked them, but I think Oklahoma or Oregon, one of the two has to slip. If Florida beats Georgia, then it's Alabama, Florida. But I mean, Penn State is right there on the edge, I think.
I think Penn State.
I would not argue with them being in there.
If they win out,
Yeah.
I still think
they've
Penn
got to be
State,
in regardless, right?
Yeah.
Penn State and Oklahoma can most certainly win their way in. I think Oregon's got to be in until they lose.
I think so too, just based on.
Yep.
Now,
This is a year that I
If-
think it would be
if-
really
if-
hard to put two SEC teams in
if
right
Ohio,
now.
if
It's
Ohio
looking that way.
State keeps playing like they played against Tulsa,
Then you
they're going
go-
to slip up, and that Oregon win doesn't mean as much as it did at the time it took place.
I think just going on the road though, in that environment is an impressive win. And if they don't lose, obviously I think they got to be
Yeah, I think Oregon has the credibility now that they're there.
Yeah.
They're going to stay there until they
Until
lose.
yeah.
right.
Yeah, a bad win, which really is, but if they win by 2 against somebody they should have beaten by 30, I still think they stay
That's
there.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I think the 0 in that loss column is more important than the style points at this point.
So what if, Penn State wins out, Oregon wins out, Oklahoma wins out?
I think it's Penn State and Oregon
In Oregon.
because they have the better wins.
So an undefeated Oklahoma could get left out.
Well, based on their past experience,
Exactly.
And
I think folks are like, I've seen this movie. I know how it ends.
Now, I don't think any of that's going to happen because there have been a
No.
record amount of ranked teams that have been defeated already this year. I mean, it's just going to be one of those years.
well, if they'd stop ranking teams before week 3, this wouldn't happen. And that's again my point.
To your point,
Anyway,
full circle.
that's
Who's going to beat Oklahoma, though?
Texas can
Texas
beat
could.
Oklahoma.
Texas
can beat
could.
Oklahoma.
Iowa State can. They're good enough.
Yeah, I think either one of those two teams, if not both, could
You're
beat
right.
them.
I think Oklahoma has the easiest path.
I think Oregon has the easiest path.
They
think
have a
so,
pretty easy
too.
path too. You're right.
Because I think the Pac-10 is worse than the Big 12, or the
Pac-12.
Pac-12 is worse. Pac-10, 12, 14, whatever
matter.
they are.
It doesn't matter.
I think that group of teams on the West Coast is worse than that group of teams in the
Midwest.
South Plains. Yeah.
I agree.
Can anybody from the Big 12 get in other than Oklahoma?
No,
At this point,
I don't
no.
think so. No, I think you have to go undefeated to get in.
Because Iowa State lost to Iowa and Texas lost to Arkansas, so no.
I don't think the Pac-12
Unless-
or Big 12 could get a one-loss team in.
Unless Arkansas goes undefeated and wins the SEC. At that point, I think you could potentially put Texas in if they also ran the rest of the table. I'm just saying.
If Arkansas
that is-
goes undefeated,
and wins the
To
SEC.
answer your question, no,
no, wait a minute. What's my question?
I don't remember, but it was.
Can Texas get in?
Can Texas
No, no,
get in?
That's
No.
the only way
Yeah.
Texas can get in.
Is there a scenario that Oklahoma doesn't win
No,
out?
no,
Yeah.
that okay, yeah, that
Maybe
was my
that's what it was.
question. If Arkansas goes undefeated and wins the SEC, then is it Arkansas and Alabama?
No. You can't put Alabama in there.
And
A one-loss Alabama team
if
Not-
their only losses to Arkansas?
who's
Not-
undefeated?
Not in this
We've
world.
seen that before.
Not in this
Yeah,
world.
Alabama, Auburn. I mean,
I'm just saying not in a world where Oregon and Penn State and Cincinnati are all undefeated.
If
No.
they're all undefeated, I don't think you can.
Right.
I agree. And even Cincinnati, I think they
That's what-
started high enough, and I think it just feels like
so you think you're telling me that an unbeaten Cincinnati gets in over a one-loss
Alabama?
I think this is the Alabama team you could leave out and justifiably do so.
Well, here's the question: which Alabama team do we have this year? Do we have the one
This is my point, is that there's not...
Is it their opponents or is it Alabama? I mean, Miami's obviously not very good.
Right.
So
That's
week
part of
one
it.
was, and then, it was Mercer week 2. So
Right.
Florida's obviously better than we thought.
Are they, though? We don't know.
Well, it's hard to say that when they were at 11, but
Exactly. So my point is that this isn't Tua and Jalen and big time names and superstar names on this Alabama team. So if
this
you're
isn't the Death Star ship.
if you're going to leave an Alabama team out,
This would be
this
the
is
one.
the one you got to do it with. So I don't think Arkansas is going undefeated.
But you have
and
to have
winning the
those
SEC.
undefeated teams to do that, though, right? To leave them out.
Yes.
Because
That
Alabama's
too.
still going to be considered the best one-loss
that-
team, right?
Absolutely.
That too. No question.
So you have to have 4 undefeated,
You know,
right?
Alabama has to lose, and 4 teams have to go up.
that's
Perfect.
right. That's right. To leave them out. No question. Zero question. Or Alabama has to lose more than once. So anyway, we have got to give me the quick rundown on the Braves. They go to Arizona.
They go to Arizona for the first of 4 tonight. They have Huascar Inoa on the mound, 4-5 with a 3.26. Humberto Mejia, 0-1 with a 4.91, gets the ball for
Come again?
Arizona.
Exactly.
Humberto Mejia.
Well done.
Thank you. Braves 77-70 after possibly their worst week of the year. Dropped 2 in a rain-shortened 2-game series at home to the Road Rockies. Dropped the first 2 in San Francisco before winning 3-0 yesterday on an Adam Duvall 2-run home run, followed 1 pitch later by an Eddie Rosario solo shot.
Pitched well enough outside of Will Smith to win that series
Oh, against Colorado?
against
Oh,
San Francisco.
Oh, well, Will Smith going Will Smith. But he did retire the Giants in order in the 9th yesterday for his 33rd save. Braves still 2 games up on Philly and 5.5 up on the Mets. So
Today in Braves history.
September 20th, 2003, Marcus Giles homered off Florida's Brad Penny to lead off the bottom of the 4th inning, becoming the 6th Atlanta Brave to hit 20 home runs that season, a total that tied a National League record since broken by the 2018 Dodgers. Gary Sheffield hit his 37th, Javi Lopez his 42nd.
Jeez.
In the 6-5 loss. Vinny Castilla and the Jones boys, Andrew and Chipper, each hit 20-plus that year, tying the franchise mark set by the 65 Milwaukee Braves with Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Joe Torre, Felipe Alou, Mac Jones, and Gene Oliver.
Huh. I like it. Come back tomorrow. More football, more Braves, all coming at you. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint for Mo Patton, JP Plant. I'm Chris Yao saying have a great day and stay cool, Columbia.